So my name's Carolyn Pepper. I am a media and entertainment lawyer working in London in the city in a firm called Reed Smith.
Where did you grow up and where did you go to school, college and university?
So I was born in North Wales and then I moved to South Wales when I was about 7, and that's where I was brought up, and that's also where I went to university. Most of the time during my education I was in state schools. I spent 5 years in private education, the first 5 years of secondary school, because I got a scholarship to go to a private school. But then I went back into the state system after the end of the 5 years, so a mix, I would say. I went to Cardiff University, so we wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to end up too expensive and going to the other end of the country.
What was your favourite subject at school?
English, definitely. I absolutely loved English more, and I loved reading books. I kind of devoured them.
What was your least favourite subject at school?
Probably Latin.
What did your parents do for a living?
My mum was a secretary and then became requalified as a teacher, and my dad worked for charities for most of his life. I don't think I'd ever met anybody who worked in the city before I came to the city.
Why did you decide to become a solicitor?
One of the things my mum used to say to me was, if you want to have a comfortable life, you should either be a lawyer or a doctor. And I thought to myself, well, I don't think I really like to cut people up. I don't think I'm a little squeamish. So I thought, well, I better be a lawyer then. And for me, it's turned out to be a really good, really great decision, because, in fact, being a lawyer does play to a lot of the things that I like and that I enjoy doing.
What did you do after your law degree?
I did the LPC, which is the legal practice course. After that, you have to do a training contract. I did 2 years of training, and what that involves is trying out different areas of the law. Tried out various different things. I also did 6 months working for MTV during my training contract, which I loved, and that really cemented what I wanted to do, really.
Do you get paid whilst doing a training contract?
You do get paid. You get paid pretty well, actually.
Any other courses you have to do before you're a fully qualified solicitor?
You still have to do something called the PSC. After 2 years, you qualify as a lawyer. At that point, you usually choose what type of law you want to do, and then you specialise in that and go on.
What makes a good solicitor?
You're often presented with some really sticky problems, and trying to get to the bottom of that is, I think, probably at the heart of what we do, actually. So you've got to like doing that. And the other thing, as I said earlier, I really enjoy reading, and I've always really enjoyed analysing documents and papers and stories and those sorts of things. And there's quite a bit of an element of that in what I do.
What does a typical day in the life of a media and entertainment lawyer look like?
The interesting thing about this job is there isn't really a typical day. Somebody might send you some papers, somebody's made a complaint about them, and you might have to go through those papers to work out what the problem is and what you think you should do about them. So, you might do an hour or so of reading, and then you might try and do a little bit of research if you need to do that, to work out how to solve your problem, and then maybe have a call with a client and speak to them and say, well, this is what I think, and discuss with them where you think they might go with that problem and how you think they might solve it going forward.
What are the 3 best things about being a solicitor?
I love the fact that no 2 days are the same. I love that. You get to learn so much about different companies and industries and what they're doing. The second thing is that I like writing and reading, and I get to do a lot of that. And the third thing is I'm probably quite competitive, so I like winning arguments with people.
What are the 3 most difficult things about being a solicitor?
The 3 most difficult things, sometimes there are very long hours. I've sort of told you about a typical day, but sometimes a typical day is much longer. It can be much longer than that from time to time. I think all lawyers don't like doing admin, so that's probably the second one. And I'm not sure I can think of a third one off the top of my head.
How much does a solicitor get paid?
So I think there's a really huge variety. I think the sky is probably the limit, really, as to what you can earn. I would say the senior people in law firms, or at least many working in the city, probably earn upwards of £100,000.
Are there different types of solicitor?
There are criminal lawyers, there are finance lawyers, or corporate lawyers, and what they do is help people to buy and sell companies. There is such a broad range. The people that you see in court normally, they would be the litigators. Oftentimes the people speaking in courts are barristers, but not always.
Any memorable stories you can share?
When I was a trainee lawyer and I worked at MTV, and all the people who worked at MTV used to, maybe still do, go to help out backstage at the European Music Awards. And that was a fantastic experience, quite surreal really. We were sort of walking around, helping to move the celebrities around to where they were supposed to be.
What's the most senior position you can get to as a solicitor?
Global managing partner of a very large law firm with offices all around the world. That's pretty senior. I'm talking about city law firms here. Don't forget that there are lawyers also who work within businesses, and the general counsels of some of those firms are pretty senior people.
Do you think your career caters enough to children from non-professional backgrounds?
I think there are a lot of law firms really trying to make a difference there, and trying to open up the profession to a wider range of people. I'm by no means an Oxbridge person or any of those things, and I never knew anything about the city at all before I walked in here. And there's absolutely a place for everybody here. And even if you have doubts, you have to push them aside and just think I'm as good as anybody else, and I can do it.
What advice would you give to anyone wanting to pursue a career in law?
Try and get some work experience is the first thing. Think outside of the box. If you can't get a placement with one of the bigger law firms, perhaps try writing to your local council. Any local companies with a big centre near you may well have a legal department. Volunteer at local radio or hospital radio or something if you're interested in the media. Something that shows people that you really are interested in doing what you say you're interested in doing. So what some people do is get paralegal jobs, maybe working for a company. Be confident as well. Don't think this is not for me. Don't ever think that. Be confident and don't ever think that anybody who's come through a different route is necessarily better than you. Good people come from everywhere.